Greetings, Moonlight Citizens. This is your man on the moon here with yet another episode. Not just any old episode, but a double feature of Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. A double feature that I am calling the Too Old for This Shit double feature, as we will be chronicling two sequels starring leads and characters that are, let's face it, too old to still be doing the stuff they be doing in these movies. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be chronicling Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, as well as Expendables 4, or Expend4BLES, if you want to get testy. And here we... Wait, that doesn't sound right. Blast off in 3, 2, 1, boom. First off, I'll be covering Expendables 4, Expend4BLES, Expendables, whatever the heck that title says. This movie, you know how it goes. I give some background on the movie before I really give my review. So now I'm going to give you some background on Expendables 4. After the Expendables 3, which came out in 2014, underperformed at the box office, the future of the series was left in doubt. Production stalled for many years. In November of 2014, it was announced the project is being developed with the intent to retain its R rating like the first two films. In 2016, Stallone announced that the fourth film would be the final film in the series, while a tentative release date was set for 2018. March 2017, Stallone left the project due to creative differences over the script and direction for the continuing franchise, and he would later come back in 2018. By August of 2020, Sin, C-I-N-E, announced their involvement as a production studio on the movie, alongside Lionsgate and Millennium Films. They also revealed Patrick Hughes would return as the director. He would later be replaced by Scott Woe in August 2021. In June of 2022, Jean-Claude Van Damme expressed interest in returning to the franchise and pitched his idea of playing Claude Villan, the twin brother to his villainous character Jean Villan from the second movie. Despite discontent with how his character was handled in Expendables 3, Arnold Schwarzenegger proclaimed he was interested in returning to the series if he liked the script. However, on May 29, 2023, Schwarzenegger confirmed that he would not be returning to the franchise due to general disinterest. While he was not in the fourth movie, Kellen Lutz explained interest to return in a potential fifth installment in an Instagram post. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, dude. Anyway, here's some other casting interests. Here's some casting curiosities. Dwayne Johnson publicly expressed interest to play a villainous character in a new installment during a 2014 Q&A. In May of 2015, Hulk Hogan claimed he was in talks with Stallone to play the film's main villain. Yeah, let's take that with a very helpful serving of salt. I'm not saying the Hulkster is lying, I'm just saying, let's not believe everything. Some of the stuff he says tends to be a tad on the extraordinary side. Anywho, filming began in August of 2021, stated that principal photography would begin in October. Filming commenced in September, and well. The film was shot in London and Bulgaria, and the Jackie Chan stunt team handled stunt choreography. Weird, considering Jackie Chan's not in this movie, but hey, in November of 2021, production was shot in Greece, and members of the Greek armed forces were used as extras and alleged that they were not compensated for their month-long official deployment, despite working overtime. In December of 2021, Tony Jaa confirmed that filming had wrapped. In regards to the film's post-production, the film had been titled Expendables by June 2023, a name that was widely ridiculed by commentators. And when asked why they chose this title, producer Les Weldon said it had always been the filmmaker's desire to pick it while retaining the Expendables brand identity. Why you couldn't just call it Expendables 4 then, man? Why you gotta go the Fan-4-stick route, huh? You know the last movie that had it. Why you gotta be like Tac 3 in? What's wrong with you? Ugh. I mentioned Jackie Chan earlier. Jackie Chan was actually offered roles in both Expendables 2 and 3, but unfortunately, as a result of a scheduling issue, he couldn't do Expendables 2. And in regards to like Expendables 3, he wanted to do more than what he was being offered. He wanted like his character to do more than what they were giving him in Expendables 3. And instead of doing Expendables 4, he pitched the idea that him and Stallone are gonna do a movie together. Since and given everything that Expendables 4 has gone through, it might be a better idea if that's the case. We might not see that movie for some time. It might not even happen, but here's hoping. I mean, we've seen Jackie Chan and John Cena. Who's to say we can't see Jackie Chan and Sly? Other notable potential cast members, but didn't make it through, include Jack Nicholson, Mila Jovovich, Clint Eastwood, Antonio Banderas. Before he joined for Expendables 3, and yeah. So basically, laying it down like this, I mentioned Mila Jovovich. Mila Jovovich was initially offered a role in an Expendables movie. I forget which one. I think it was Expendables 3. Yeah, it was 3. She was initially offered a role in Expendables 3, but she turned it down, and so instead they wound up picking Ronda Rousey. And I mentioned Terry Crews earlier. Terry Crews's casting in the first Expendable was kind of hilarious because originally Sly said that he wrote that part that would wound up being played by Cruz for Wesley Snipes. But then Wesley Snipes, got arrested and had his tax related issues. So then they offered the role to Forrest Whitaker, who then had to drop out of the role for reasons. I think he was filming something else around the same time. And then they offered the role to 50 Cent, who, for some unknown reason, turned the film down. And then, and only then, did they offer the role to Terry Crews. But then after Expendables 3, Terry Crews was told had to drop out of the film for reasons I can't get into without risking demonetization. Look them up and feel free to do your own research. He had to drop out of the film and was instead replaced by 50 Cent. So it's weird. I would just like to know like the train of thought that goes from, well, we couldn't get Snipes, we couldn't get Whitaker, let's get when we couldn't get 50 Cent. Like, how do you go from Snipes to Whitaker to 50 Cent? I mean, how do you go from Mila Jovovich to Ronda Rousey to Megan Fox? What is. Ugh. Whatever. That's enough background for this film. Now we delve into the actual meat of the thing, the review of Expendables. Okay, right out of the gate, this movie. Well, I'm glad this movie brought back the R rating to be more tonally in line with the movies that came before it. This movie totally could have been PG-13. Yeah, I don't. There's not a lot in this film that warrants an R rating. I mean, except for that grisly scene in the beginning that I'll get to later. But like, other than that, I mean, this could have been a PG-13 movie. Could have run some mis. Anyway, yeah. So Barney and his team are gearing up to, do what Expendables do, go out and stop a bad guy from doing bad guy things. And the bad guy in this movie being played by Iko Uwais, who's on a mission to do generic bad guy stuff. And you'll notice that the team is not as big as it used to be. It's not as stacked as it used to be, because in the third movie there was enough people to have two teams. And well, right away, Ronda Rousey's out, Terry Crews is out, Kellen Lutz is out, Glenn Powell, uh, Jet Li. What the hell? What is going on with this franchise? Why are so many people just not in it? I understand the scheduling conflicts and whatnot, but you can hold off until they're free so they can get there. It's not like you have to do this movie right now, or else I don't know some rights somewhere will expire. This isn't like a Fox movie where you have to rush something out of production. You can wait. Also, waiting is what this film didn't need to do. Like, it absolutely shouldn't have done that in terms of pre-production and whatnot. Because this movie coming out now was a mistake. Like, if this movie had come out in 2018, it might have been better because hell, a lot of people would have been more available to play their roles, and we wouldn't have gotten not as great substitutes for them. Like, for instance, there's this character named Galan. He's the new Galgo. Like, he's Galgo's son, and he's essentially doing an Antonio Banderas impersonation, but it just ends up with him whispering all the time. He's played by the guy who played Mike Lowry's son in Bad Boys 3. Would have been cool if he was that character instead. The way it could pay off what the movie was setting up. And this was what Mike meant, but it would help him, stay out of jail for the crimes. I'm not going to do that. It just sounds ridiculous coming out of me. Imagine how it sounds in the film. He stayed out of jail for the crimes he did in that movie instead of just the explanation of, oh, he's Galgo's son and he's an expendable. Okay, nepotism. Cool, mercenary via nepotism, whatever. There's this guy named Marsh, who's played by Andy Garcia, and he's like the new church character. He's like the Bruce Willis type character who gives the expendables their orders and so on. It was just weird because in the last movie, Harrison Ford was that dude. But it's clear they couldn't get Harrison Ford because he was doing Indiana Jones 5 at the same time. And it also explains why Banderas isn't here because he's also in that movie. Whatever. Ronda Rousey's not here, so then we got Megan Fox, who is introduced as Lee's girlfriend. When I say not Jet Li, Statham's girlfriend, by nagging him about, I don't know, she's nagging him over the fact that he's British. She's like, "Oh, I'm British. I like to keep my feelings inside." And she's like, "Well, f you. Like, I'm an American, and we're gonna talk about it." Like, and she's nagging and throwing stuff and just what is going on? What is the point of this? Is this supposed to be funny? Like, what is this? Is Statham's character like, is this the running joke that he has lady troubles in every movie? Because he had them in the first movie, and the second movie was kind of like he was alright. Like he was alright in the second movie, like, but like, damn, dude, what the heck is going on here? Is this supposed to be a joke? Or what? I don't get it. Why is this? She was mad, like, you know what? You're jealous that I can do what you do, like whatever. And you're a caveman, and like and she looks at Barney like, you're my boss, but you're also like just like him, like y'all are some cavemen. I'm just thinking, what the hell is this? What is this, man? Like, what is this crap? Like, who asked this damn sitcom crap, man? Like, what is this? Okay, like, what is this? What is that? What? Like, it's a joke, huh? The fuck is wrong with y'all? I think it's a joke. A fucking sitcom. Shit. Whatever. Moving on. Another thing. Disinterested Eco Waste is the least interesting Eco Waste. His character in this film, like we cut away from this soapy drama to show Eco Waste storming this base, killing a bunch of people, and I would say Disinterested Waste is worst version of him because he's like his character in this film seems to be just like his character from the movie Mile 22. It would have been really interesting if that was the character he's playing because then he'd have more to him than just being the run of the mill sadistic villain who's got a disregard for human life and doesn't show much emotion. Like, dude, we get it. You kill people. You don't care that you kill people, and like a part of you, like, I don't know, digs it, or like you're really into knives or whatever. Like that's his shtick. He's into knives and he kills people even though he doesn't have to. I guess he's a generic villain, man. It took a year. It took like three different writers to write this script, and the best they could come up with was we have equal waste as a villain, so let's make him a generic, disregarding human life villain. Whatever. Man. So the Expendables have their mission. They chase after equal waste, and Bonnie is in the plane flying over, providing support or whatever, and he gets shot down by equal waste's guns. And instead of chasing down Oasis' character, like, he orders him to, Statham's character says, "Screw it, I'm saving you." Goes off to try and save him, but it's all for naught as Barney's blasted out of the sky and he dies in a fiery wreck. It's like, what the hell? Barney dies? This was so out of nowhere, man. Like, he died in a fire explosion with the movie cutting to his wake, where the bar, they keep. See, 'cause we actually see when I was watching something in '08, we didn't actually see him like die. So they're gonna find some way to weasel out this. But then the movie shows like a skeleton, and we see his freaking hand like with the ring on. So we're like, damn, they really killed him. We may not have seen him die, but we see a body. And then when they cut to the wake, we see they kept the freaking hand. They have the guy's freaking skeleton, not the skeleton, but like his bones with the ring finger on them on display in the bar for everyone to see. And I'm just like, what the hell? That is messed up. That is beyond messed up. First of all, it just ends up feeling like a rehash of Expendables 3. Only in this instance, it's more like they're trying to say this is the movie they should have made instead of it. But I don't know, because in Expendables 3, Caesar doesn't die. He's just gravely injured. Like, this is like Expendables 3, but in place of Caesar, you have Barney, and in place of him being injured, he dies. Like, and instead of Christmas placing the blame on himself like Barney did in the third one, everyone else puts the blame on him and makes him feel like he's the one responsible for Barney's death. You know, in the Expendables 3, he put the blame on himself and chose to disband the team. In this one, the blame is put on Statham's character and they essentially kick him out. No, they bench him. They essentially bench him instead of, him like breaking up the team or willingly stepping down. Like, they just bench him. Then dude, this is weird, man. Like, this would have Barney's death would have had a far better impact if the original cast was in this movie. If we had Terry Crews, we had, I mean, we still have Randy Couture and Dolph Lundgren, but like, I mean, it's not the same. If we had Jet Li, Terry Crews in there, it would have been, it would have hit more. It would have been a big deal to see their reactions to this instead of seeing the reactions of a few of the OG squad and a couple of guys who we've literally just met. Like, we just met Megan Fox's character. We just met 50 Cent and Galan. Like, we don't know them. They don't know Barney like the other guys do, like, and there's a moment where like 50 Cent is like, like Barney was willing to sacrifice himself if it meant like you stop stopping the bad guys and you like let the bad guy escape. So you made his sacrifice mean nothing. Like, it's dickish, but he kind of has a point, dude. Like, yeah, he was willing to sacrifice himself. That's why he told you to keep going. But like, you tried to save him and failed, led to the bad guy getting away, and his sacrifice meant nothing. You made his death mean nothing. It isn't until Christmas leaves that Longman's character gets mad at 50 Cent and he is like, nothing Barney did meant. What? Not nothing Barney did meant. Like, he never did anything that was like, meant nothing or whatever. He always meant something. Or, I don't even remember, but he got mad at what he said. Like, whatever. Moving on from that. Um, Lash. This one character named Lash is filling in for Jet Li. 50 Cent is filling in for Terry Crews. Galan is filling in for Banderas. Megan Fox is seemingly filling in for Ronda Rousey. Uh, this is an R-rated movie, and like, there's a scene where it seems like Megan Fox and Statham are gonna get it on in this film, but then the camera just cuts to after the fact, and I'm sitting there wondering, this movie is R-rated, right? There's an R-rated movie that I'm watching. I didn't wander into the wrong theater, so why are we just cutting after the fact like it's a CW movie or like it's still trying to hold on to a PG-13 rating? Like, why? I mean, for heaven's sake, she still has her freaking like lingerie on. Like, this is a PG-13 sex scene. You telling me they did it and kept their clothes on? Like, what the? Whatever, man. Tony Jaa's in this movie, and he's playing Desha, the man who's put his violent past behind him and doesn't want to be a violent man again, but is dragged back into the action once again because of a friend. It's called, what I've decided to call it, the John Rambo syndrome. The plot is this: the bad guy is trying to steal nukes to, kick off World War III after he sets them off in Russia and blame like the Russians will blame the U.S. because the ship that blew it up was made to look like a U.S. ship. Yeah, he's trying to kickstart World War III between America and Russia, and the Expendables job is tasked with stopping them. And I'm not even gonna bother going through the story anymore. We know how this goes. Yeah, Stallone's kicked out of the team, and he's even a bodyguard for an influencer for a while. But then he decides screw it, and he decides to go after them on his own. And the team goes after this dude, but they get captured. And it's basically Expendables 3. It's like someone looked at Expendables 3, decided to remake that, but changed just enough that we would call it another movie. Turns out that Marsh, the guy that the good guys thought was working with, that the good guys were working for, has been with the bad guys all along. Not only that, but he's the secret bad guy behind everything. And he has a villain monologue explaining that he's doing all this to make money off the war that this bomb will create. Like the war that'll be created. And then there's also this movie just descends into some cliches after this. Like the hero sacrificing himself to let his friends get away cliche. The bad guy killing one of his own and then giving the nearest guy a promotion. The bad guy throws his weapon away to have a one-on-one fight with the hero cliche. And the ultimate cliche of all, well, the ultimate action movie cliche, the character we thought was dead comes back and is revealed to have faked their death. As Barney returns in time to sink the ship and save Statham, but they fly off into the sunset. The movie ends as all the others did, with everybody toasting at the bar and Barney revealing that the body that burned in the crash was that of the guy who took his ring at the beginning of the movie. 5 out of 10, dude. It just doesn't match up to the ones that came before. It's not a bad movie, but it's not great either, man. Most of this film, I was just wondering what the team was wondering when they boarded the bad guy's ship. Where is everyone? Like, where's the rest of the team? Where's the actual team? Where is everybody? The fights were good. Produced by Jack and Chan stunt team. They better be good. Particularly the one with Daisha and Lash, as they were going 2-on-1 against this one mercenary. The barbell at the beginning could have been something, but it was too short, Same thing with the fight between Oasis and Statham. That could have been something really sweet, but it was also pretty short. And I'm just looking and thinking, you got Iko Uwais and Tony Jaa in the same movie, and there's no fight? There's no fight there, man? You don't have Uwais and Jaa in the same... They don't even share seeds. I'm pretty sure, like, Tony Jaa's character doesn't even know who the main bad guy looks like. I mean, damn, they don't cross paths at all in this movie. That was a missed opportunity right there. Anyway, man, yeah, that's what I thought, man. 5 out of 10. If you're a fan of this franchise, I'd recommend you not watch it. If you're a fan of this franchise, as far as you're concerned, the Expendables series only ever had 3 movies. A solid action movie trilogy. And that'll be the last bite. Boomalay, boomalay, boom, boomalay, boomalay, boom. Okay, now we review Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Indy 5, the sequel we really didn't need. I mean, Indy 4 had such a happy ending and such a fitting ending for the character that he finally gets to just walk off into the sunset and is left to a unassuming life that, he would wage that a character of his age would want. But hey, man, franchise has got a franchise, I guess. The movie opens with like Indiana Jones in like the 40s. It's like the last days of the Nazi regime, and the Nazis are trying to destroy as much history and art as they can get their hands on. It's also trying to salvage as much of like the mystical stuff. And the first time we see young Indiana Jones in the 40s, era, he looks all right. He looks pretty good, especially it seems like on a train and everything. He looks all right. But the second time we see him, when he goes to see Baz, he looks like a deep fake. He just looks like a straight up deep fake of Harrison Ford. Like he's got a mask on his face. Like I can't properly explain. It's like the face on his face is wearing a mask. That's what it looks like. There's a moment where he's like in this car, he's looking forward, and when he's looking forward, there's nothing being done to his face. It's just regular Harrison Ford. This isn't set in the 40s. This is set like years later, so it makes sense that he would have aged some. But like the moment he turns, the deep face comes back on. Like, dude, yeah. It's just in the present day storyline. So yeah, him and his partner, they get the Dial of Destiny, and they hold on to it because the Nazis are looking for it to try and use it as a way to travel back in time and then change history. It's in a pretty surprising twist of events later on. I'll mention it later, but like, so Indiana Jones, his goddaughter comes in. I don't remember her name. I don't care that much. His goddaughter comes in and starts asking about the dial. Indy shows her that he didn't get rid of it. She steals it from him and she runs off. But like the CIA is in hot pursuit, and like Indiana Jones is being chased too. At least that's what he thinks. Initially, it seems like they're just chasing his goddaughter, and he happens to also be running in that direction because he's chasing her too. and they try to talk to him. Like the one agent says, Dr. Jones, we just want to, and before she can probably get a word out, he's like trying to distract them and block their passage, and he's knocking over shelves. And there's this chase scene that doesn't need to happen if people involved just sit down and talk. But yeah, they chase him throughout America. They chase him through this like Moon Day parade, and it's a pretty solid chase scene. I won't lie. Indiana Jones on horseback racing to beat trains is pretty good. Yes, eventually the people who are chasing Jones aren't just CIA. It turns out members of that group are working with the main villain of this movie. He's played by Mads Mikkelsen. This is the second time Mads Mikkelsen has played a solid villain in a not so solid movie. Yeah, so they killed a bunch of people en route to chasing Indy. While they were chasing Indy, they killed a bunch of people, and now he's the one who's being blamed for those murders. And, it's a way of putting him in the story, whether he wants to be or not. Like, at his age, you can tell, like, you don't want to be involved in shit like this anymore. But have putting a murder charge on him kind of forces him to be in the story. It's like, okay, now he has to be involved. He has to try to find out what happened to his goddaughter and find a way to prove that he had nothing to do with all these murders as a way to clear his name. Like he doesn't want to be here, but he's got to be. It isn't until he goes overseas and he meets his goddaughter trying to sell the damn thing. And I still say this is dumb. Indiana Jones is lying about it belongs in a museum. Like, it's just, dude, if it belonged in a museum, you wouldn't have been sticking it in your freaking, I don't know, drawer in some room somewhere. If that's what you believed, you wouldn't have stuck it in some drawer. You would have handed it over to a museum. But it's like, it's too dangerous to hand over to a museum, so like destroy it. But it's too valuable to be destroyed. Screw you, man. Then what do you care if she's selling it? It doesn't mean anything. And there's a scene where like all the buyers are getting mad because he's trying to take it. So he pulled his whip and he cracks it like it's in the trailer. This isn't the trailer. He's like cracking like whoosh, whoosh, like everybody. And they all just pull guns on him and he's standing there like, oh no. Like, oh crud. Like I didn't foresee this. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Are you telling me that all these years later and using of the whip and everything, you didn't expect that maybe, I don't know, somebody would pull a gun on you? You've been the dude to pull a gun on somebody, like with the sword guy at the beginning to do all this fancy stuff, and you just pulled a gun and shot him. You didn't think that might happen to you one day if you pulled your whip on somebody? Like, come on, man. Ugh, whatever. Anyway, after the Nazis get the dial, or like that half of the dial, and they're off with it, he resolves himself to chase them down and get the dial out of their hands, because Lord knows what they would do to it. And at that point, the sense that he'd rather not be there, sense that he would rather not be doing this, that he doesn't have a choice, is gone. Like he's doing this to just clear his name of the murder charge. Yeah, that's gone. The moment the dial's stolen by the Nazis, after that, he's all in on the quest for the dial. And his goddaughter, who initially seemed to be just in it for the money, like she doesn't care about the archaeological stuff, she's also all in now. And at no point during any of this afterwards does she mention, like, can you imagine how much this is worth? Like how much we would get for this on the black market or anything. Nope, she just drops all that and she's like a willing sidekick now. This movie has 4 writers. And it shows. But yeah, they go underwater because there was a clue on the thing that told them to do so. And for do that, they need a diver. And Indiana Jones' friend, played by Antonio Banderas, is that diver. Explains why he wasn't in Expendables 4. Expendables, but anyway. So yeah, when they come up, the Nazis are there waiting for them. And they're interrogating them to find out what is written on the dial and translations and stuff. And when Indiana's friend tries to stop them, they kill him. And it's really, at first it's sad. Like, it's like, damn, he died. I'll miss Sold. What was his name? Yeah, because, he was played by Antonio Banderas, but they didn't really give him much to do in the way of character development or anything. At least that's just how I felt. And after Indy and his goddaughter and her kid sidekick, who's like pickpocket sidekick, because this kid who follows her around, after they escape, Indy's kind of sad about it, and he even says like, I just saw my friend get murdered. Like, well, they were celebrating like, oh, we got away. Like, why'd you happy? We got away. And he's like, I just saw my friend get murdered. It's like, damn, I'm sorry, man. And then by the time they move on to the next scene, it's like it didn't even happen. They're just continuing to look for the thing, continuing to sort through cues, leading to this place underground, like this tomb where uh Galileo, I think it's Galileo. I don't remember who did this, but like the person who invented the dial, they discovered the full dial in its entirety, and in the center there's a watch, like a proper like pocket watch, and it's like, man, during like the era of the Roman Empire, this was not a thing. Like the very existence of this pocket watch in the device proves that it works because this is a pocket watch. What is it doing in this device that was made during the era of the Roman Empire? Like, dude, if anything, it proves that it works. We later find out that that pocket watch isn't just any pocket watch, it's the pocket watch belonging to the main villain. It just creates this weird, like, chicken and egg thing, because, the scientist who'd gone to create the device finds the pocket watch on the dead body of the main villain after he gets shot out of the sky when he and India and all them travel back through time and stuff. So yeah, man, this movie, there's a really sad moment, like a really somber moment, where the goddaughter asks Indy, what would you do if you could travel back anywhere? And he says, like, if he could travel back, he would travel back to tell his son not to enlist because he knew that he was going to die. And now we know why Mutt Williams isn't in the movie. Indy's son from the fourth movie. He's not in the movie because he's dead. Plus, the studio sure as heck didn't want to open the can of worms that is good old Shia LaBeouf. But anyway, moving on from that, they're really sad in that moment. But afterwards, we got to get back to adventure and fun times and punching Nazis and bang bang bangs and Lord knows whatever. So they're in the past. They managed to travel through there through a wormhole in a storm or some such other things using the dial. And after, the main villain is defeated and Indiana Jones is just sitting there looking out at like history, he's just thinking to himself, man, like, damn, goddaughter, why don't you just leave me here? Like, I'd be pretty good here, like I'm good being here. And she's like, no, you're dying. Like, there's no medicine to help you here. And it's like, I mean, he's cool and he seems cool with it because like he's like this is the he I think he said something like this is the past, like this is where he belongs, like because in the present, like there's nothing for him in the present, like he's just he fits in this kind of place. Like if he was gonna die here, then he's content dying here in the past, witnessing this historical battle. And if he survives, then he's cool with just living here. But hey, yeah, we don't get to see how they get back because the goddaughter, not wanting to lose him just yet, says screw what you want. She knocks him out, and when he wakes up after getting knocked out, he wakes up in his apartment. And this movie just goes full Lord of the Rings Return of the King with its ending as like he wakes up, looks over, he sees his goddaughter, sees the little kid, says they're back in the States now, they're back in the present day. Looks over, sees his daughter, sees her like little kid sidekick, and then after that, his old friend Salah from the first couple movies comes in. He's got his family, and it's all good. It's straight up Frodo looking over and be like, "My friends," like that is. And then afterwards, Marion comes in, as they've been separated like this movie, but like this was the event that finally brought them back together and like got them talking to each other, and they like hug. Now as everyone goes out for ice cream, he and Marion are together again, and Jones gets his happy ending. The final shot is like a shot of Indy's hat. So, question. So many questions. I mean, I can tell that the reason they didn't film them coming back to the present was because they just couldn't come up with an answer as to wait, how are they gonna get back? We don't even know how they got there, man. Like, we don't even fully explain how they knew, how knew to get back. Like, this is a scene where, like, well, We need to get a lot of information out there really fast, and there's no way to get it out visually. What do? We just have the characters explain it really loudly, really fast. Like Indiana Jones was like, wait, can't, like the bad guy wanted to use the dial to travel back in time to like World War II era to kill Adolf Hitler because he felt like Adolf Hitler wasn't the right guy to lead the Germans during that time. He's like, I watched every mistake, I watched every blunder, and like so now he's gonna travel back in time to correct it. But then Indiana Jones, right before they go through the wormhole or whatever, is like, wait, continental drift. Galileo never witnessed it. It wasn't a thing back then. It wasn't a noticeable phenomenon. Your like directions on that thing could be very wrong. There's a high possibility you're not taking us back to 19 whatever. It's likely you're just taking us back to like I don't know 9 whatever or something. And then while they're flying through all this wreckage and being shot at by harpoons and whatever, he's like expositing like damn, we're at the battle of blah blah blah. Like this is where the device was designed. And later on they just fill that in like Galileo didn't design this thing to travel back in time. He traveled it like he designed it to get help, to try and get help from people from the future to help them at that moment. The device only send someone back here. It can't send someone whatever point they wish to go. It only sends someone to this point in time because it was designed to send people from the future to this point. So they would help. Like it's like that scene in Bill and Ted where they're like we'll just get our future selves, travel back in time, and put a key here so that our younger selves can get in. Like that's kind of what it is, man. But we don't see all that. We just hear Jones and his goddaughter exposit all that to us, man. Like we just hear them say all that. There's no concrete evidence for any of it, but like I guess that's how it is because well they said it, so it must be true. Anyway, my opinion of this movie, I give this movie a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed some of the action sequences. I mean, it's an Indiana Jones story. It's not a great Indiana Jones story. As a matter of fact, it might be just about the worst. It's the lowest ranking of the stories, in my opinion. So, yeah, 6 out of 10 it is. And, yeah, we didn't need this movie. We absolutely did not need to see this movie. But hey, franchise has got a franchise. A 6 out of 10. That's my thoughts on this movie. Visuals weren't that great. Music, other than the Indiana Jones theme, was downright forgettable almost. Just the story itself was not particularly great. I mean, it was an original twist having the bad guy who seemed to be like the most, SS man of SS, being like the guy to be like, hey man, I'm gonna travel back in time and I'm gonna, use this device to off Hitler. So yeah, that was a nice twist. Mads Mikkelsen is a delight as always. Harrison Ford plays old man Indiana Jones really well. Everyone played their characters really well. It's just the writing and the CGI and stuff that let them down. No one in this movie's a bad actor. They're just in a bad movie. Thus is the end of the Moonlight Kingdom Reviews Too Old for This Shit double feature. With a combined score of 11 out of 20, these movies are surprising. They scored surprisingly higher than you'd think they would by my de-energized tone and lack of care for anything. Because thing is, like these characters. I like Big Bonnie Ross and Lee Christmas and them. I like the Expendables. 1 to 3 are really good. 1 and 2 are above all that. 3 isn't as good, but damn, they're better than 4. And Indiana Jones 5, I wasn't particularly hyped to see it. It just felt like his story was done. He didn't need another movie to like close this out. And if there was gonna be another Indiana Jones story, I always thought it'd be a reboot, with like Chris Pratt or whatever. But nope, that's not what's happening. It was always gonna be Harrison Ford, and I'm not mad at it. He can still go, then let him go. But damn, man, sometimes you just need to stop at like 3 movies. We didn't need that 4th movie, but it was nice to have. I neither needed nor wanted another movie after that, but this isn't even nice to have, man. It's like, it's there. What you gonna do? So yeah, that's that. Those are my thoughts on Indy 5 and Expendables. Expendables. Expendables 4. Jeez. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, it may seem like pessimistic or downtrodden, but I'm not, dude. I'm actually fairly happy. That was it for the Too Old for This Shit double feature of Moonlight Kingdom Reviews. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ladies, bros, non-binary those, rock out.
Let's go, let's go! Let's go! If I know what I want, then I know what I get. If I go, they can win, cause they know I get lit. I'm a pro, not a myth, and my flow got some wit. Never slow, drink a fit. I get hype, I get lit. Here I go, I get lit. Here I go,